Greetings, listeners. Welcome back to Idio Talk, coming at you once again on a Friday. Getting very drive time DJ with the intro this time. It's on a Friday. And you know what that means.
Who's in a bunker? Who's in a bunker?
Oh, right. I love that. Yeah. Women and children first. It's Idio Talk.
Coming at you live from the basement on a Friday. It's Zach
What other?
Walker.
Can we sneak in one more?
The kids are running around, eh? And
Cut the kids in half. It's time for Idio Talk.
let's re-edit all of our episodes.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. We should have been saying that all along.
Yeah.
This is Idio Talk, a Radiohead podcast. You know what time it is. You know that we love Radiohead here, but do you know who we are? Well, I am Walker Glenn.
I'm Zach Glenn.
And we're very, very excited to be back with another guest episode. And we've had a few guests at this point, and they've all been great, but none have been as close to the behind-the-scenes machinations of Idio Talk as our guest today. Right? This guest is a wonderful artist, an entrepreneur in their own right, but more importantly, has been integral to the operations and procedures here at Idio Talk. You guys hear this thing every week and you think, this is so seamless and effortless. It's got to be easy. Maybe I'll start a Radiohead podcast, you've been saying to yourself. I would caution you, listener, A, stay out of my fucking territory. Okay? We are the Radiohead podcast. And that ominous warning does not go out to pre-existing Radiohead podcasts.
Yeah, one of whom will be a guest.
One of whom we are a big fan of. So,
big fan, yeah.
But I am closing the door behind us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for leaving it open, previous Radiohead podcasts. But
We will
now,
not return the favor.
the elevator is not going back down. Right, so you might think it'd be easy to start a podcast about your favorite
You might
band.
be optimistic.
Sure. You're exactly, and that is a Radiohead song, and that is the level of incisive commentary that you can get from this Radiohead podcast.
Cheeky jokes.
Cheeky jokes and knowing song names. That's us. That's Idio Talk. But what you do not know is that present at the table during our many sessions of brainstorming and consultation has been this guest helping us plan the launch of the podcast, running our social media. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. See, and there you heard that was not the voice of me or Zach. So already you know there's a third person at the table here,
Voice
listeners.
of the creep.
Our guest today has been a huge part of helping us make this a successful endeavor. And we're very, very happy to have her. Please welcome to the podcast, Kilani Glenn.
Thanks, guys. I feel that was quite the intro. I don't know if I deserve that much fanfare, but it's been really cool to watch you guys take on this project since January of this year and watch it evolve. I think it's getting better with every episode. I'm really proud of what you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you, Kai.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you have set the standard in terms of like representing it, you know, and like not that it's a brand or anything like that. It's not a money-making venture. We'll just say that much. It's a passion project. But it's been really cool to have you representing the show in that capacity. And I think I would say has made us want to represent it equally aesthetically, professionally, I guess I would say, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Kai, I want to, and now I introduced you by your full name, Kilani.
Yes.
But I will, as is my habit, probably just be calling you Kai.
That makes sense.
Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Now now listeners,
You know that song from Mary Poppins, listeners? Let's go fly a kite. Picture that, but you get rid of the T-E.
yeah, lose that hard tuh sound, and then you got
That's how you...
Because my nickname is the hard one to pronounce, not the full name.
exactly.
It's the harder one to spell. Anyways, Kai is with us.
Yes, Kai is with us, and I don't want to, Kai, keep just building you up in terms of your relationship to the podcast and the hosts.
Have we actually established my relationship to the host?
No, and I was hoping we could actually tease this out a little bit. So what listeners are probably haven't even heard a goddamn word I've said since I said welcome Kilani Glenn. They're going Glenn. I've heard that name before.
A third Glenwood?
A third Glenwood brother, which and I should say not a brother, the first sister to be on the podcast. This has been a very male-dominated affair up to this point.
Well, yeah.
And we crave more female guests on this show. We ache
And
to book
listeners.
female guests and to have female listeners. Radiohead, I am positive, has
we talked about this.
female fans, but they are hard to find for this podcast. So this is also a call out there to the women of Radiohead fandom. Get in touch with us because we want to hear what you think about the podcast. This has been a bit of a boys' club up till now.
We exist.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at a woman Radiohead fan right now.
I do think we should talk about that too. Is Radiohead more appealing to to men more than women?
What I am saying is my anecdotal experience is telling me yes.
I would think so.
Based on seeking female guests for this show. But that's all neither here or there. We were talking about your name, Kilani. Last name Glenn. Now, my last name's Glenn.
Correct.
Are we related?
Sort of.
Sort of. So already a clue is emerging.
Sort
listeners.
of.
Yeah,
Listeners
sort
are
of.
intrigued. Sort of. I've heard those words before.
Yeah.
Should we just come out and say it?
No. I want to tease this out.
Okay. All right.
I want to make this non-guessing game take as long as possible. Okay. So we're sort of related. So not by blood.
Correct.
Okay. So are we step siblings?
No.
Are you my stepmother?
Absolutely not.
Okay, then Kai, you can come out with it. Why the heck do you have the same last name as the two hosts of this podcast?
I don't think I'm the one that should say it.
Oh, okay. Kilani Glenn is my wife, one half of the host of Video Talk, Zach Glenn. So
there
Kilani
we
and
go.
I are married.
And right now the listeners are there's applause breaks happening everywhere as they listen. People are Kai, you have loomed large on the podcast. I feel like Zach brings insights that you have shared with him about the band to this podcast on a regular basis. So
Don't cite you as a source.
yeah, it always says, and this is something I thought of on my own.
But I wink at Walker and he goes, oh, okay.
Yeah,
That was
he
Kilani.
holds up a note that says Kai actually said this, and I always make eye contact back with him, like, if you think I'm going to snitch on you, brother. So it is very wonderful to have you on here to go directly to the source, to get a fresh take on something that we've been talking about for several episodes now. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. And I feel like knowing that I'm Zach's wife and that I run your Instagram lends a little insight to why our Instagram is like 75% Zach content.
Sure.
I'm always like, Walker, send me a picture so people know you exist. You're part of this too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's all Zach content and a lot of like heart filters over Zach. And then,
Right.
And then very
Lots
just,
of EXO.
yeah. Yeah. Just like, hubby playing guitar today. You should.
You just use a really drippy romantic voice in all the captions from now on.
Yes.
No,
you
but
guys should start a influencer couple TikTok.
Oh, God.
Let's do that. No, I do think it'll explain that a lot of the captions are written in sort of like a third person perspective. Now, I do talk in the third person in real life.
You
quite a
mean
bit.
Zach does?
Yes. Yeah. Not right now, but I do. But no, I think that.
And when you do you refer to yourself by your name, or is there?
Yeah.
At
Or is
work-
there a certain character that you tend to inhabit when you're referring to
Oh,
yourself
there are
in the
many.
third person?
I don't know if you've seen Raising Cain, but that's me.
I have not. But
Me
I
either.
think, do you
Lost
not know
reference.
what I'm kind of pimping you towards?
Yes,
right
I do.
now?
I'm going to get there.
Okay.
I'm going to draw this out. No, at work, like if it's like my boss, this person, and I'll always just say Zach, like, from a third person perspective. At around the house, a lot of times if I'm feeling like really self-satisfied, it'll be Papa. Kind of third person perspective. And that's enough insight into our home life, I think, for one episode.
I'm just glad that's public information now.
It is now.
Yeah. Zach calls himself Papa. I do refer to myself as Daddy quite a bit. I tend to feel that I have earned that title more as somebody who has fathered a child. Right. I do kind of think now a lot of male comedians that I know in the last couple of years started referring to themselves as daddy. None of these men have children.
Oh, okay.
And that to me feels like stolen valor. You know what I mean? It's just like you haven't done the time.
Yeah.
You haven't done the crime, so don't do the time.
Well, that was the origin of the like joke that I never explained to people is like I am so not fatherly. Like, and you know, so it's almost like ironically humorous that I did it, but
I think it was also that we have respectful gender relationships within our relationship. So when it started, it was really ironic that you were like, "Get Papa a beer."
Yeah.
But how many years ago did Papa start?
About 4.5.
Yeah.
So I just live with Papa now.
Yeah, well, Kai was
And
going
I don't call him Papa
okay,
like that.
in any context.
No.
Sometimes it'll slip out because it's like that frequent and normalized, but I don't condone it for the record.
Sure. Because I was going to say, you were kind of, as Zach was describing to this, you were making eye contact with me a little bit with a expression that I read as like, do you see what it's like? Do you see what I go through?
Well, I wanted to immediately bring attention to him calling himself Papa, but I also didn't want to out him like that. It's my first 5 minutes on the podcast.
That's okay. No,
and
it's
so
all
I
right.
appreciate that Walker did it for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, this is an ambush. This is Kai.
This is a public intervention.
Yeah, exactly. No more Papa. Stoppa the Papa. That's what we call this. Now, Kai, to kind of I do hope that we will gain more. This, I gotta tell you, I didn't realize before we did this what a privileged position this would be for me to have somebody on the show who so intimately knows our co-host and can air his dirty laundry and have that position not be turned back on me. Like, this is really, and I want to use that sparingly and all due respect there, but
Zach looks nervous.
I'm not. No.
Is he nothing to hide?
Didn't
right?
sound nervous at all.
Zach is a public figure now, so he understands that scandals are going to come out. But getting to why you're here today, aside from the joy of embarrassing my co-host a little bit, I mentioned at the top of the show I referred to you as a visual artist and an entrepreneur. I said in her own right, which I now regret because it almost sounds like an unnecessary qualification.
Sure.
Artist, entrepreneur, full stop. And Kai is the owner and proprietor of Flux Flow Glass.
Yeah, co-owner, co-founder. I do have a partner.
Yeah, would you talk about that so our listeners can find? Let's get the plug out now.
Sure. My business is Flux and Flow Glass. We're flux.flow.glass on Instagram. I started a stained glass business with my best friend 2 years ago during the pandemic, and it's our full-time life now.
Amazing.
And Kai, what was one of the first pieces that you made? Very first.
Yeah. Within maybe my first 10 pieces or so, Zach asked me to make Litigation Bear. The Stanley Donwood icon that was created for Radiohead during the OK Computer era, correct?
Around there, yeah.
Approximately.
I mean, it's throughout. Yeah. And it was, I have it hanging in my office. A lot of times I work from home. A lot of times folks will notice it and ask if it's Danger Mouse. And I say, no, it's not.
Dead Mouse.
Dead Mouse, sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, Radiohead did get there first. It's a piece that I cherish. And
it's not a mouse, it's a bear.
It's not a mouse, it's a bear. But I just wanted to throw that in there, listeners.
Well, it's perfect that you did because it actually perfectly brings together what we wanted to talk to Kai about today, which is the art of Radiohead. And Kai being one of the most artistically talented people that we know, and a Radiohead fan, we thought that would be a great aspect of the band that has certainly come up on other episodes, but that we could delve into a little more fully. So before we do that, though, let me just ask you, Kai, kind of in the most general sense or as specific as you want to be. So forget what I just said, because I've decided I'm going to contradict myself every other sentence. Listeners, I don't know why I'm so nervous right now. I'm
intimidating.
This is a family member. I know, Kai. I didn't expect Kai's really like shining the spotlight back on Idio Talk.
You're doing great.
Just with her like calm, authoritative presence of all of a sudden, like, what are we doing here?
It's a lot of eye contact.
Yeah, exactly. Kai, are you a Radiohead fan? And can you tell us a little bit about your fandom or non-fandom?
Sure. So I first heard Radiohead in 7th grade. My best friend and business partner, Rachel, has an older brother who is kind of like one of our conduits to cool music growing up. He made
What's her older brother's name?
Ross. Rachel and Ross.
Like in the show.
They were named before the show came out, but it followed them throughout our entire adolescence.
Sure.
But Ross made us a mix CD, or made Rachel a mix CD that she shared with me. Idiotech was on there. I thought it was idiotique for many years. Something listeners have heard about.
A scandal that has been brought up.
Something Zach has held on to since we met 11 years ago.
Magical moment.
So Radiohead was kind of like maybe in my like Pandora era, like on stations, part of like what I listened to. But I didn't do a lot of album deep dives till I met Zach. But Radiohead's also one of those bands like the Beatles that Zach has always played so much throughout the course of our relationship that I think I haven't taken the time to do as much of a deep dive until this year while you guys making the podcast. Because it's like ambient sound in our house. It's on all the time. And Zach sends me like, especially now, he sends me like a cool Radiohead video to watch like every week or two. So for whatever reason, I felt like I had my Radiohead coming from Zach. I didn't need to do my own endeavor. But at this point, I've listened to every album. I'm much more familiar with their catalog. And I'm a fan. I love what they do. I can't say they're one of my personal obsession bands. I don't have the same fixation as y'all, but deep appreciation.
Yeah, that's really, I would say, like how you described, they're kind of always on in the background. I feel like as much as I love the band and I'm into the things I'm into, you know, the Beatles would be up there, certain filmographers or directors' filmography, I guess, that where I feel like just by the nature of living with me and being married to me, the exposure has got to be so immense that I really, but listeners, I will say that is to say, when I have called upon some of your insights and I have cited you as a source, I was being humorous.
Thank you.
It has been some of the most kind of insightful commentary on the band. Maybe not every time, but you know, I can remember a particular time we were in the car on a long road trip. This was earlier this year, and we were preparing for our OK Computer episode, and I was just asking Kilani for a little bit of just what her thoughts were on certain songs. And I remember you were talking about, we were listening to Exit Music, and then the songs were out of chronology, Electioneering. And you said, well, you know, it's so interesting. Radiohead's so operatic. They're operatic in all of their songs. And, you know, that really stuck with me. This is just for instance, because I'd never thought of it. I always think of music so segmented, you know, like, oh, there's these blips and bloops. There's these operatic segments, like in the Rain Down section of Paranoid Android, or like in Exit Music. But so that's just a for instance. And I think it's always, listeners, find yourself as insightful a partner as I have, because it's always great to no, I don't mean it that way. I mean, it's always great to seek external input if the person is willing to give it, even if they're not, obsessed in the same, obviously with the same things, but from the same angle. Walker mentioned Kai's a visual artist. Walker and I are both, play music. So the aspect of maybe what we focus on in our individual pursuits is different. But I've gotten a lot of really, really, really moving insight, not just on Radiohead, and a lot of art that I like to consume from Kilani.
Well, thanks, Zach. I think, Radiohead's obviously an auditory medium. The visuals are part of their whole package, but not necessarily what we've talked about a lot until recently. And while y'all keep mentioning I'm a visual artist by profession now, my education is actually in performance art. I have a bachelor's degree in theater art, stage management, and lighting design. So more the technical side of it. I'm not a performer. So the lens I come at Radiohead with is more that performance artist aspect. And that's where some of maybe like the comments about certain songs being very operatic or having a structure that's almost more narrative. I think Radiohead really lends itself to movie soundtracks and stuff like that because they don't have as traditional of like a chorus structure in all of their songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And listeners, just to piggyback off what Zach said, we wish all of you that you will find your Kilani who can bring new insights into your obsessions. And I just am very curious to hear if living with Zach and by proximity, knowing me as well as you do has diminished your ability to enjoy this band. Because it's a lot of Radiohead around here.
No, it is not diminished, but I'll say sometimes I'm not necessarily like in the mood to appreciate it when Zach wants me to.
And that's what he says. You better get in the mood. Because in this house, we listen to Radiohead.
Like if Zach texts me a video to watch or something, he will be checking pretty quickly afterwards to see if, did you get my text? Like, yeah, from the other side of the house. I'm doing something right now. I will watch it later and it'll probably be awesome. But he wants to have the conversation like now while he's still in it.
Well, thank God he has a Radiohead podcast.
Yeah.
It's been great.
I know, Kai, that you kind of picked out what you found to be, well, I won't try to put it in a category because I don't know exactly, but I know that you picked 3 Radiohead albums to discuss the artwork of. Yeah,
so you both invited me to be on the podcast really early on, which was amazing. Thank you. But we didn't really know what I was going to talk about. Zach had the idea to approach maybe the artistic aspects early on. I had said maybe let's talk about Radiohead in film soundtracks, which you guys should totally do someday with somebody. But Zach and I have been having a lot of great conversation about art lately as he's been doing all this episode artwork. I don't know if all the listeners realize that Zach has really just started doing all that visual artwork stuff over the past year or so. I think he dabbled before, but
which is a good chance just to say, listeners, more of you are listening than are following us on Instagram, but we're not just plugging the episodes. Zach is doing custom art pieces to accompany each episode.
He is. Every Thursday we post an original piece Zach has done that is based on the spirit of the album and artwork from that era. And just in him asking me questions about how do I approach this color or this texture or asking me for suggestions. We've had a lot of interesting conversation about visual arts that we haven't before because it just hasn't been his area of interest as intensely. And just recently we had a great conversation about the cover of Hail to the Thief, one of Zach's favorite pieces of artwork. He was really into it when we first started dating.
Really into it.
Yeah, he
Proof,
actually
listeners.
he actually painted a large version of it on his college coffee table, which we now have in our garage.
Yeah. Underneath a Rasta flag.
Who did that though? Not you.
Not me.
That doesn't sound
some
like
random
Some
roommate helped did the
anyways,
art.
yeah, so.
That's college.
Yeah.
Radiohead and Rasta flags.
Literally. Yeah.
I think there's also a South Park sticker.
Sure.
It's, the full gambit.
Sounds like some young men lived in this house.
There's also a 49ers something.
Indeed they did.
Yes. But yeah, we had a great conversation about the cover of Hail to the Thief, and it was a light bulb moment that we wanted to talk about cover art. And the 3 album covers I wanted to talk about were originally OK Computer, Kid A and Hail to the Thief. But then I watched this fantastic short film that I'll talk about kind of throughout that really talks about the Kid A amnesiac period. Obviously, they were recorded in conjunction. So the art is all connected as well. And that was really interesting. And then I want to talk about Hail to the Thief because it does have such history for Zach and I.
Okay. Well, which one would you like to get into first?
We could probably go in order. So Kid A.
Okay, great. So, yeah, listeners, we have the vinyl out right here, but do yourself a favor as we're discussing this and pull up the cover to Kid A.
Actually, as the one who runs your Instagram, the day this episode comes out, we're going to make sure we have visual aids posted on our Instagram. So if you go to idiotalk.podcast on Instagram, we'll have all this up there for you.
Wonderful. So let's get into Kid A.
So Zach and I have talked about a lot of this stuff. So we kind of have a basic understanding of each other's interpretation. So I thought it'd be fun to have you, since this is an auditory medium and we should tell the listeners what the heck we're looking at. Walker, tell us your interpretation of what's on the cover of Kid A and how would you describe it?
Well, first of all, I want to say, listeners, I'm being pranked here because Kai just handed me a picture and it's just a very graphic rendering of a dick and balls. So, and I this is not the cover of Kid A.
It's actually Zach's.
Oh my God. This is why we have romantic partners on the podcast. Let's see. Oh, here. Okay, hold on. Let me just move this piece of paper. And listeners, I did actually just mime moving a piece of paper, even though there is not
He
one.
did.
So, okay, I'm looking at the cover of Kid A here, and this is the closest I've looked at it in a while. So it seems to me this is a very ahead of the kind of trend of glitch art. This is like a very glitchy digital rendering of snow-covered mountains. And on the top half of the album, two of these mountains seem to be erupting in a volcano spewing flame and lava. There's like a black-red sky, very like Eye of Sauron kind of color palette sky, and then blue, white, snow-covered mountains that eventually, in the bottom half of the album, breaks down into that full glitchy, they're kind of all intersecting in jagged, weird ways that don't necessarily make a ton of sense. It gets more and more digital as it goes down, and that's the cover of Kid A. And then on the inside, it's that same, but more digital, more black, and more kind of like mixed up and kind of all remixed.
Zach, do you have any like different interpretation of how you've seen the cover over the years?
Oh, I don't know about different. I think the thing that like really stood out to me when I was trying to think of what to try and draw like around our Kid A release episode. As we've gone on with the pod, I've found that simply trying to recreate what is on the album cover is not the most original. It's okay to pay homage, and Stanley Donwood is an artist that I love and is so unique. But starting with the album cover is the best place to start. And the thing that I really started to notice staring at it for a long time is the dimensionality of it is really cool, and the way. Again, listeners, pull up an image of it. Maybe you have it memorized, maybe not. But just really, I would encourage you, like a gallery piece, just sit there and stare at it for a minute. And what he does is it gives this 3D impression as if you're being drawn to it, like, but to the center point. There's these lines that gives it dimensionality that draw you towards the center, and you can kind of, the way I envision it is I could see myself walking on those. It's certainly not walking towards a great place to be. So yeah, that would be just kind of the only thing I would add is that I really appreciate sort of those flat planes.
Yeah, I think this cover's really interesting because the elements of it are very flat. But like you said, it has a layered quality that gives it a lot of depth. And then those lines give it a lot of movement.
Yeah, movement.
It's like
Thank you.
static, but has tons of movement at the same time.
It also is something that if you flip the album cover upside down, even though it's mountains against like a skyline, the picture isn't necessarily like more abstract when you look at it upside down. They kind of could have done it either way, I feel like. It also looks like kind of satellite images of like Pluto or something like that. Like it looks like it's like close-up pictures of like a dead like ice moon.
A mountain range that you just could not walk no matter what gear you had.
No, you look like you'd die if you stepped foot into this environment, especially because it's fire and ice.
Yeah.
And this was before A Song of Ice and Fire.
Right. This is A Song of Ice and Fire, though. It was actually after, because that book series started coming out in the 90s. But, Walker, you mentioned Mount Doom when you were describing it. And I do think, though, that while not being derivative in any sense whatsoever, that it does have that quality that is present in the Lord of the Rings films by Peter Jackson.
It definitely has a large scale quality to it. So we've mentioned Stanley Donwood a few times, but remind me, have you guys ever talked about him on the podcast? Like with listeners that maybe...
In our opening episode, but I definitely would think we should refresh. Would you like to...
Yeah, he's come up, but
Sure.
any information or insights you have,
I did some light research. I kind of already knew some stuff, but basically he is a visual artist that Tom met in like their equivalent of high school art school. And they developed a relationship. He started working with them for their cover of The Bends and has been their in-house artist ever since. I watched a really great short film. It's only like 8 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. It's from Christie's Auction House. Last year, Tom and Stanley Donwood auctioned off a bunch of pieces from this time period. And so they made a short film promoting it, and they talk about what their collaboration was like and inspiration was. So the Kid A and Amnesiac albums were recorded in like the renovated barn, right? Stanley Donwood painted alongside them while they recorded.
Did not know that.
Neither did I.
That is
He was
really cool.
in the space the entire time, and he talks,
Poor guy.
right? And he talks about how when he looks at the paintings from this period, he can't not hear the music because they were created so simultaneously.
Wow.
It's so cool.
I
So
feel the
cool.
same, Stanley. Yeah, keep going, please.
The other interesting thing about this is because they were working in this large, they didn't use the word renovated, but like
It's a hall, so it's Radiohead's Canned
they
Applause.
called it a barn over and over.
So that's sort of different, like English parlance.
Okay.
What we would call like a
So kind of a
cathedral or something.
warehouse.
It's just the reason they're calling it a barn is because it wasn't originally built as a studio, so they have sort of retrofitted it, and it's an old English, not castle, but like very like where a baron might like live.
Okay.
So it's a very very big, not I guess whatever's underneath the castle.
So something interesting about the setting is obviously it was a large space, and so they said this era represents the transition to large scale painting rather than mixed digital media, which would have always been created to be kind of small scale, right? So
Like OK Computer.
sure, yeah.
It's kind of collaged.
And the Benz is
Sure.
very much digital. OK Computer looks like it's a transition into this where there's some elements of hand painted or drawn stuff that he's layered in. But the Kid A Amnesiac period is heavily painted, all large scale. And they basically said they knew everything had to be a square because it would end up on a record cover. But otherwise, they had no plans for what they were going for.
Okay, and when you say large scale painting, do you mean are these mountains hand painted?
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit and like ask you as like if you had to guess how, like what mediums were made for the cover, like
I would
what's your
guess all digital, like digitally manipulated found images.
So it started as painted.
Wow.
So they did a ton of paintings for this period. And I thought it was interesting because they were so focused on paint as a medium and charcoal, other physical stuff like that, that after all that work, and there's, I think, dozens of paintings, they ended up taking the paintings and digitizing them for the cover. It was just a really interesting choice after he had been painting alongside of them for so long.
But that's also such a perfect analogy for how the
Radiohead.
album is
Yeah.
made.
It is.
And for Tom York's solo album. Walker and I discussed that a lot of these songs Tom can play with like acoustic instruments, which is really impressive. That is interesting because I do know of the closeness of the bond of Tom York and Stanley Donwood and probably Radiohead overall. That it doesn't sound like he's obedient to that. It sounds like it was maybe a collaborative decision. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So there's a quote from Tom from this interview, and it says he's proud of this period of work because it was when we found our voice through the artwork. It developed into something exciting and something that wasn't just for the record cover. It was beyond that. And they really saw it as cohesive art vision.
Cool.
Some of the influences for Stanley Donwood, he was heavily influenced by the conflict in former Yugoslavia at the time. So lots of snowy landscapes streaked with oil, blood, like spoils of war, essentially. They were both obsessed with the Twin Towers prior to 9/11, which is just really interesting.
Wow.
So
Cue up your conspiracy theories, listeners.
So they were also really focused on pyramids as structures of power. So when you look at the
Now, if I'm
cover,
not mistaken, they have a song about a pyramid. Do they not?
when you look at the cover and you look at some of the original paintings, the pyramids often show up in pairs, like their own twin towers.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
the cover, you can see most of the mountains have 2 points because they're all in pairs.
That was something I only noticed when trying to just recreate, just even in a sketch form. I was like, why do all these mountains look like Batman heads?
And all
I'm serious, though. I mean, that was a joke, but like they are in pairs, and it somehow doesn't throw your eye off, though, when you initially look at it.
And that's just another beautiful harmony with the themes of the album. Kid A being a reference to a human clone. Wow,
Yeah.
I that is not something I ever noticed, let alone thought about.
And to go back to the paintings, they were painted in a particularly physical way. He used a lot of like sticks and his sleeve and spackling tools and weird things instead of brushes. And I love how as an artist, that engages your body in like a totally different way than just using a single utensil or tool in your hand. So again, the relationship between how physical they make the artwork and then how digital the final product is, fascinating.
It's also just such I love what you're telling me too, because it's like, I mean, we talked for multiple hours about how much we love this period of their music, but you don't think of it, or I'll speak for myself. When you hear the end product, the first thing you picture is not the organic composition of this music. But when you talk about them all playing and him like painting with sticks in the same room, it's just, it makes this whole period sound so lively and bohemian. And it sounds like, you know, 60s Greenwich Village, like Warhol factory shit. Like,
it reminds me of how Johnny plays, like how he like had to wear the arm brace because he slams into his guitar, but to give a super precise digital sound.
right.
Yeah. See why I love this woman, listeners?
Very visceral.
We'll cut that. No, but I want to just say, Walker, that's so funny that you say that, because I do like the Warholian comparison and all that, but I don't picture it being. I mean, imagining myself alongside Radiohead, if I weren't starstruck, if I grew up with them and knew they were a great band, is difficult to do. But I do know that this period was so difficult. And don't you think a little bit of the anguish comes through in the art itself? I'm not saying Donwood was in anguish, but I think a little bit of the repetitive nature and sadness is there too.
I have a quote that Tom said, the overarching vibe of this whole period of artwork is the idea that something's coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense too, because
and something ominous.
The snowy mountains look like they're, I mean, this is probably kind of an obvious illusion, but they look like they're breaking apart, where the artwork gets more and more digitized and glitchy, which, you know, sheets of ice falling off into the ocean, right?
Climate change is definitely there.
So that looks like it's like coming at you, like straight at you. And then the two volcanoes are in the background. So it definitely is like extremely foreboding.
They look like they're spewing fire. They're not spewing like a lava eruption. It looks like they're like in Mount Doom. It looks like something that's just erupting fire, right? Which is, and it has a cartoonish quality to it. And the other thing that I would add, if it's okay, is the sun. Apparently, maybe a red sun rising right in the center point, drawing your eye in. It's like weirdly blood red, implying. I don't think that this is from some other planet, although it does kind of evoke that. But it's like, what's up with the sun? Oh, we're just in a time where planetary relationships are not behaving normally.
Sure.
Which, I don't know. That's my interpretation.
I wanted to pick up, too, on something you said, Zach, based off the information you just gave us, Kai, that he was making this artwork while the band was playing and recording. And Zach, you saying like that's a very creatively charged atmosphere, but this looks very anguished. I do think that as much as I love Radiohead, I do think that being at somebody's band practice while you're working sounds very annoying. And I also think being at band practice and it's like, what's Stanley doing? Oh, he's painting. He's throwing paint covered sticks at a canvas. Like it sounds kind of like a lot of shit in one space. And I could see that also being like, man, I'm really tired of hearing this same 12 bars of
There are some like textures and stuff. Like in the short film, it shows you a lot more work than what's on the cover, obviously. And there are definitely some textures that you can tell was him just going at the canvas.
Yeah. Like really unflattering caricatures of Tom.
Well,
what are you trying to say with this one, Stan?
Use.
I mean, is that a lead into you're being cheeky, but is that a lead into the next album cover? A really unflattering caricature?
Should we talk Amnesiac?
Yeah.
Whatever the guest wants to talk about.
I mean, they're both so related. I just had a couple more cool quotes. Like, they were talking about the purpose of the art, and Tom says we weren't making stuff that was going to end up in an art gallery. We were making something that was going to end up in a record shop. And Stanley Donwood's response to that is that he liked the idea of the record store as a democratic, non-hierarchical art gallery where the art itself has no intrinsic value because it's just a printed piece of cardboard. And I love that. There's something about making fine art accessible. And
is that sort of like what who's the contempt Banksy does a little bit by graffiti?
No, you can't buy a Banksy.
I know you can't buy it, but by putting it as a graffiti,
putting it in a public space gives it back to the community, which is cool. I think that it's similar, but I think what Stanley Donwood's talking about is having a piece of fine art that you can actually personally possess and take home. And so there's like this weird balance of making fine art accessible, but also really elevating what they were seeing on other record covers, right? It's not just pictures of the band or some picture of Tom trying to be hot. It is artwork, and it speaks to the entire identity of the band.
I love that. Well, that's like a very democratic ethic, and like I think that fits in with it. It's like it makes sense for Radiohead's kind of artistic politics to match up with their politics in the more traditional sense too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when we were talking about Amnesiac, just in kind of research, I think that was maybe the album I went the heaviest on in terms of research, just because there was a lot available. And it wasn't research. It was so exciting to read through. I did not know a lot of the things that you just said, but I do know that Tom has said in shorthand about the cover of Amnesiac that it's as if you're in the fire. And I don't want to recapitulate what Walker and I discussed in that episode. Listeners, go back and listen to it. But Walker did an amazing sort of description of maybe what he gets Tom is describing, like depression-wise and feeling-wise from that. And I just really, really like that because, and then to go back to what you were saying, Kilani, how it is elevated. I can remember when I first started checking out Radiohead CDs from the library in Nevada County, being thrown off by the fact that the band wasn't, on the cover. Not that I only, because that was a very 90s conceit. And then, you have artwork that I love, like Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, for instance, from the 90s. So it wasn't foreign to me by any means. But to have it be, this is a Radiohead album? Like, Radiohead is so small, the word on the Amnesiac album on CD. The original one, not the Kid Amnesia reprint. So I was even confused, just for a minute, but that speaks to, I think, how much Radiohead non-pretentiously, but maybe elevated what I was willing to look into. And like I said, I was thrown off. I wasn't like, oh, I totally get this. It's taken me years to appreciate it.
And I think they want you to be thrown off because I think when you're thrown off, it makes you ask questions and think more.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Should we talk about Amnesiac?
Yeah. Walker, give us a rundown of what's on the cover.
Okay, so once again, I've been handed a piece of paper, and this time it's of a hyper-realistic vagina. So we are...
Not mine.
So the wiener was Zach's. This is God knows whose vagina. And I don't even feel comfortable describing it in more detail.
We'll just say
than
70s
that.
grooming standards.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out what this was.
Topiary?
At first, I thought this was just a Stanley Donwood pencil sketching of like a field. But
Oh my gosh, you guys, I have to cut you off to say that originally Stanley Donwood proposed a dick-shaped topiary to be the cover of this album, and they went in a different direction.
Of Amnesiac?
Oh, sorry. No, the cover of Hail to the Thief. But
Interesting.
relevant now, so.
I'll never look at the album the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be really...
We can talk about it when we
Yeah.
get to Hail to the Thief.
Okay.
But
It feels very
couldn't let it
un-Radiohead.
pass.
I doesn't every fine artist go through their phallus
Yes.
stage? It
Yeah.
seems like. Okay. In any case, except maybe Georgia O'Keeffe,
Right.
who
Not
more
her.
inspired
Never.
this drawing that Kai just handed me. And these are really good, listeners, but they're just not what I expect to be looking at when I'm told to describe a Radiohead album. Wow, how am I going to follow this bit up when we get to the third one? Hard to say. We're kind of running out of things. Okay, so the cover of Amnesiac is, I would say, tonally very different. The digitized feeling of Kid A is kind of in contrast to this one, which you can actually see a frayed canvas. Kai will tell us more about the details, but I'm guessing that this is actually a photo of a piece that Donwood did on this canvas. Painted red. Top half, like I said, is coming apart. This looks like a very old, tattered canvas. And then you have a very sketchy, kind of imprecise drawing of a crying figure that I happen to know is called the Crying Minotaur. But it's really kind of a doughboy-like figure, no distinguishing features, head and hands, and then 8 tear droplets coming out, forming kind of an ovular shape. And then kind of a geometric dots connected with lines. So you have these different shapes with 3 to 5. Looks like over here 7 different points. These kind of astronomical little formations that are shaped, and then also just little there's a little teeny heart here, just little squiggles around too. It's a doodle. It looks like a doodle on a red canvas against a black background, and then, as Zach said, the words Radiohead and Amnesiac in teeny tiny white letters against that black background in the upper right corner. So, Kai, what am I looking at here, and how did I do?
You did great.
Thank you.
So I initially didn't want to talk about this one because it's a relatively simple composition. I thought, okay, computer would be more interesting. But then when I found out that Kid A and Amnesiac, this artwork was all created at the same time, the contrast became way more interesting to me. And yeah, so it's basically a black square with a red rectangle and a doodle on it. So what they say about this whole period, and it applies to Kid A as well, is they had a collage mentality. And you see that a lot in the digital artwork on the previous album we talked about. It's very collaged. So this is interesting to me because what I never noticed is that red rectangle is the cover of a book.
Oh my God.
Turned sideways, and that tattered edge is the binding. And so it is very much a doodle on the cover of like a journal.
You're blowing my mind.
Yeah. And I did a bunch of research on the crying minotaur, trying to figure out like what it really meant. The Greek mythology behind the minotaur is it's essentially a half bull, half man beast born and immediately shunned for being a beast. Mm-hmm. I can't remember which god. It's probably Zeus. Like orders a labyrinth to be built so that the minotaur can be contained in the center of the labyrinth and hidden away from everyone because it's an abomination. But then the minotaur eventually meets its end someday as the villain in some other story. Some hero needs to slay it to win something. So the minotaur has a really tragic existence. Yeah. Like it wasn't born of other beasts. It's born of a woman and a bull, as they do in Greek mythology.
Sure.
So it has no people of its own. It's like its ultimate isolation. And like it's really interesting. So Tom was into the Minotaur mythology specifically for the labyrinth aspect. His mental health was in a deep dive at this period, and the Minotaur is a metaphor for him personally feeling lost in the labyrinth of his own mental health, which I think explains why the Minotaur is crying. But I also think it's fascinating that this looks nothing like a minotaur.
Yeah.
There are no bull horns. Like it's a stick figure man. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach.
Oh no, I don't. This is we're all interpreting here, but I just want to say on this one to your point that it's difficult to make out that it's a minotaur, and I do agree with you, Walker, that parts of it look like a doodle, specifically the character. I have looked at this for so long. Way more than Kid A, which is funny because maybe it is less complex. It's all, and I've drawn this one over and over, and I started to see that based on the curvature of the limbs, specifically the bottom ones, it does look like a bull or a horse. It's like when a bull or a horse sits down and their hind legs kind of, it just doesn't quite make sense because it looks like they're curving upwards. And if you look really, really close at the top of the head, there is a single horn on the right side of the head, even though it's connected to what looks like a geometric shape. So it's kind of coming off. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like almost like an antennae, because the crying minotaur to me has always looked like an alien.
There's doodles on the top of the head, but they're kind of the same style as the little tiny heart drawn there. So I had never seen them as horns. I'd seen them as kind of additional doodles because there is a small amount of scribbling.
I think you could call them horns, but I don't think it's necessarily...
Right. It's not for sure, and I didn't mean to make that sound like that is what it is. I think that that's what's fun about any piece of art, right? Like, especially visual art. Like, it is... like that, I have thought for the longest time the crying minotaur was. It always made me think of Subterranean Homesick Alien because it looks like a little bit of like a Martian, like from the '60s who would draw, and that's what's so fun. And maybe speaks a little bit to it. Is like Tom is really deep diving on this. It's Greek mythology, right? This Greek mythology character of isolate. Well, we've talked immensely about Tom's feeling of isolation.
It is an outsider, a freak who's isolated.
And so it makes sense to me that like Donwood's, who his range as an artist in terms of realism or detail is all over the place, would kind of combine, if he was listening to Radiohead during this very difficult period where Tom's mental health was in a low place, would maybe simplify it a little bit to something alien.
And this character comes up a lot in the supplemental artwork that's collected in that book, Fear Stalks the Land. And maybe calling it a minotaur was an afterthought when he fleshed out this drawing a little more. Because you do see this little, same type of thing, like same kind of Pillsbury Doughboy thing, but with more clearly with horns and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like on the I Might Be Wrong live album, it looks like a recapitulation, but more maybe more traditionally like what we think of as a devil.
It clearly has horns in almost every version other than the album cover.
Right, which is a weird choice.
Yeah. And then the little dots, I interpret it as like constellations. I did some research, could not find any evidence. I'd love if someone could prove us wrong and give us clarity, but I couldn't find any
Stanley
evidence.
Donwood, come on the show.
Right? That those are real constellations. They're made up.
Can I just say what my interpretation is? I think Walker, you said it first, like, and then Kai, you were just repeating. Like, it does have a, like, sort of a astronomer type constellation vibe to it, which also would go with like kind of that Greek era, maybe a little bit. To kind of simplify it, and you think about when this album came out, just like Kid A, I think there's a lot of implied movement in this cover, which is amazing because it's a static shot. Do you guys remember the screensaver in not early PCs, but PCs of the early 2000s, where it would be a ball that would bounce around the screen, but it would change geometric shapes as it would bounce? Listeners, I hope you can picture it. I get that vibe from this, as if those shapes are kind of dancing around, and they're always precise, their length maybe going... And I think that there's just a lot of implied movement. I'm not saying, hey, I already knew this. I did not know if it was a canvas or a page. I think I said textile fabric in our Amnesiac episode, so I was not right. But there is something about it that feels page-like, or even if it was textile, that it could move, like a blanket or a shirt or something like that. So, you know, I don't mean to... because I don't see implied movement in all of Radiohead's albums. I do in these two, though, for sure. And I think it just takes staring at it for a long time. And it wouldn't stare at it for such a long time if it wasn't cool.
I have another one. I think this is an allusion to the labyrinth that you're talking about. So it's the character, these constellations, which I do think is a very good description of what we're looking at here. I couldn't think of that word. That's why I said astronomical. Listeners, I'm dumb, just not as dumb as I seemed 5 minutes ago. These constellations, they're both crisscrossing over the Minotaur, but also kind of are boxing him in.
Well, one of the points is his eye, almost.
I keep trying to figure out if that is an eye.
I've always thought it's an eye.
I feel that he's covering his eyes, but because it goes to his eye, it has a connection to him. And there is a constellation related to the Greek Minotaur. Double checked. It's not one of these.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, to me, this feels like allusions to the labyrinth that he's stuck in, surrounded by, and also is kind of part of him. He's a part of it. And, you know, I mean, I think I'm also getting that because of Tom York's own descriptions of the themes of this album and the book. Kai, I love that you said this is a book, because he said he sees Amnesiac as it was something to the effect of, you found an old chest up in an attic and it's full of all these maps and instructions that you don't understand. So that this is all on top of a book, right? And that this is some sort of cipher that needs to be decoded, that you don't exactly like, okay, this is a Minotaur, but it has no horns. These constellations are fake. That feels thematically very tied in.
To me, the way they were going for a collage mentality, this is the book that holds the collages. This is like, to me, this is like the cover of the sketchbook, and it's all minimized into this one image. But I had never seen the book on the cover until I read about it for this podcast. And so I had always seen it, you know, what was the quote you said about being surrounded in red?
Tom says that in Amnesiac, you're in the fire.
And I very much saw that in this, because if you interpret it vertically, I guess, instead of looking down flat, it does look like the Minotaur is submerged in like a red pool of almost fire, because the fraying at the top of the book is slightly yellow. It has this like submerged under lava vibe.
What listeners, on the vinyl or on the original CD or what have you, it's about 1/3 of the color black. And then the rest of it is this, whatever the medium is. I think we've decided, Kai, it is a page, right? Is what you said?
It's a scanned image of a notebook.
Takes up about 2/3, right, of it. So to your point, yeah, I've always kind of thought of it that way. And not in those exact words. That's part of the fun of talking about it. But like that is sort of how my eye has seen it. And it's like, in reading that quote from Tom and talking to you and Walker, it's really, really cool to just kind of have that fleshed out.
I think it's worth pointing out, too, that like at the time of this album's release, people were not really buying records. I'm sure that there was a limited run of vinyls produced, but like, I mean, record stores sold CDs at this time. And that is how most people listen to this album. This is like pretty small, even on the record LP cover. So it's a really bold statement of minimalism to put this on what is a CD, like 5 by 5 inches, something like that.
Very subdued choice.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to get a damn magnifying glass to really see what's going on
To
here.
see that little heart on the cover, like
Yeah. And Radiohead, I don't think that everything is this plan. In our Tom York, the Eraser episode, I talked about how, like, I feel like in his music and in Radiohead overall, there's secrets to be uncovered. So I'm not saying that this was planned, but how cool is it, Walker? You talked about in our OK Computer episode that OK Computer is like not meant to be sequenced for vinyl. It's like meant to be sequenced as a CD. So they're really embracing what at the time was the most current technology. And finally, folks were maybe going to try and make albums like with a CD in mind. How interesting is it as they push forward into new technology, they were potentially making their artwork to accompany a vinyl copy.
Yeah,
It's an interesting inversion.
Absolutely. I mean, it would be so tiny on a CD that I'm almost picturing Tom York like over Stanley's shoulder being like, like the cruel taskmaster being like tinier.
Like
Not-
me, eh?
Yeah, not tiny enough. If the Minotaur's me, then it should be the tiniest Minotaur you've ever seen. I'm bloody 5'4", mate.
When we were talking, and I don't want to linger on this too long, but an inside joke between Walker and I, and we want to let the audience in on it. I guess Kai, I don't know if she knows about this one, but for our Stanley Kubrick Shining fans out there, there is a documentary by a filmmaker named Rodney Asher called Room 237 that explores people that are obsessed with that movie and conspiracy theories about it. One of the theories a lady has is that Jack Nicholson is meant to be a minotaur, and an analogy for it because there's a skiing poster where somebody kind of looks like a minotaur a little bit for a second. And her main qualification for that is when Jack is staring into the labyrinth, which is the hedge maze. She says he looks very bull-like, and it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean?
What do you mean he looks very bull-like? We could certainly cut this, but that is an inside joke between Walker and I. We'll just
She says it like it's an objective fact. She goes, and obviously here he looks very bull-like, and then just blows past her. You're like, what? No, he looks like a human.
He looks like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
But I mean, I just couldn't let it go with Minotaur, Labyrinth, Maze.
Well, and the inside joke, the way we use it is just anytime one of us is making a half-assed point that hasn't been thought through very well. It's like, yes, very bull-like.
Oh, man.
So, listeners, that could be the new. Whenever me and Zach are not articulating something well about Radiohead, hashtag that bull-like.
Yeah. As you're listening to the episode a year after it's been released.
Yeah. Well, Kai, do you have more you want to say about Amnesiac?
Not much. I mean, we covered a lot of it because it's so related to Kid A. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you hand me the next album that we're going to talk about here? Okay. Jesus Christ. Now, this is somehow nicer than the pictures you handed me before, yet somehow more good. So the penis and the vagina from the previous two pictures have been anthropomorphized in this picture Kai has handed me. And they're holding hands. Mm-hmm. The penis is in a wedding dress and the vagina is in a tuxedo. And it's a whole wedding scene. Now, I do like the gender swapping here. That's very progressive. Mm-hmm. But the penis and the vagina are getting married here. And then it's just in the aisles. It's just nothing but different sets of genitals all joining in to witness.
It's basically the credits of Superbad.
There you go. Yes.
Was that one of the inspiration for this 3D pop art that you handed?
No,
I didn't make this. I just curated it.
No,
and picked
Kai,
it out
don't
for
be
you.
modest because I've also been referring to these as drawing. These are all stained glass windows that Kai is handing me.
You didn't make them.
That I guess she made today for her. Okay, so let me
It's not what I typically post. I have a separate account for that.
No, yeah. Oh my God. This is a genuine question. Are there erotic stained glass?
Oh my God.
accounts?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There are some amazing artists that make genitalia stuff that's like all the way from sexual to funny to kind of casual. Like Coyote Brains Glass does sniffers, which are little erect penises.
Okay.
They're hilarious. And they have little flowers near the balls. And she just did a whole Halloween line where there was like one with there was a sheet ghost.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a ton of.
Seems like an endless well of inspiration that you could draw from, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Okay, so wow. I mean, it's graphic. It's not what I think of as your typical style, but I'm
Well,
really
I don't
impressed.
post it because the stained glass market's flooded. Is the point?
There you go.
Yeah.
Cum.
Okay, so oh my gosh.
My mom said she would listen to this episode.
Okay, we could
I'll
edit
tell her
that
not
part.
to. It's fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna just remove this now, as impressive as it. Okay, now I'm looking at a Radiohead album cover, and this seems to be. Well, I don't know what this is the cover of because it doesn't say. I don't see the words Radiohead. Mm-hmm. I don't see an album name. I'm seeing lots of different words. I'm seeing the words favorite, TV, meat, autos, collision. But Kai, what the heck am I looking at here?
Well, that's what I
Kinda
want
what
to
I
hear
look
from
at.
you.
Well, okay.
What do you see this as literally?
I was playing dumb a little bit.
Okay.
This is Radiohead's Hail to the Thief. Listeners know I've seen this album cover because we've already done an episode on it. What I'm looking at here is a grid of different words. And, I feel like the ones that we call out are the ones that are like really kind of provocative or of, like kind of hot button words. Like you've got God, oil, beef,
COVID.
fear. Oh, whoa. That's not since the Two Towers on the Kid A album cover as Radiohead called their shot. So, but talk about Kubrickian. He made The Shining to show us he faked the moon landing. Radiohead made Hail to the Thief to show us that they made COVID in a lab.
16 years.
Here's the thing. Okay, we'll get back onto the artwork here. Could we still be fans of Radiohead if it turned out that they made and unleashed the COVID-19 virus?
Yes, no question.
Okay, I agree. All right, so those words like definitely jump out, but there's a lot of more like kind of innocuous words on here too. Photos, depot, anytime, rapid. And then like just lots of like really kind of like commercial words. VCR, pool, 100%.
Love that one.
Tanning. Gosh, I don't know that I've ever taken the time to like. I've looked at this cover a lot, and Zach, it was already mentioned, he reproduced this when you guys were in college. He's reproduced a few versions of it since then. I think probably at least one that our listeners will see. But he gave me one of the drafts of one of his recreations of this, where he used a lot of the words that are here, but also put a list of his favorite Radiohead songs in there, and then mixed some of the Kid A and I think In Rainbows art into there too.
Yeah. I've really tried to collage this one because this one is one of my favorites, and I also think that there's not really too much of a spin to put on it. And I just love that there's the word favorite at the top and there's a full column. That's where I put some of my favorite song titles and some of Walker's, actually.
So to be a little more brief here, I would say that what I'm looking at is a grid of buzzwords in somewhat ugly colors, kind of a like slightly like disorienting color palette of a lot of like
off.
red, green, black, orange. Like it's not necessarily complementary. It's a little bit of a strain on the eyes.
Yeah.
Good thing I'm using all those colors for your Instagram page. It's literally the design scheme is based on this cover.
Well, yeah. I mean, I love this cover, but you know what I mean? It's like a little bit,
Yeah.
It's like a little bit like Freddy Krueger's sweater is like supposed to be like, what am I looking at? And the grid of words, of kind of buzzwords, seems to be like bleeding out into the ocean, is what I would say. And that's what I'm looking at. And it continues on the back. more buzzwords. Does it have the song titles on the back? It doesn't. Those are on the inside cover.
Does it even have the album name on the spine?
It's in the
It does. It's on the
Okay.
spine. It
And-
says Radiohead, Hail to the Thief in like Times New Roman. Very
Listeners,
simple
there's
font.
a collector edition that did come out in the year 2003 that they immediately stopped the line of. That at the top of the album cover, it says Radiohead, Hail to the Thief in a black square so that you can make it out against that blue two-tone background. But they no longer make that one, so that one is worth a lot of money. If you have it, listeners, hold on to it.
And I should say this map of words and the word map, did I pick that intentionally? Time will tell. But this map of words goes on and on every surface of this record, both the inner sleeves and when you open up the record itself. And I don't see the words. I don't see any words repeating at all. And we got Clockwork, Burn on the Sticks of My Life, Parting the Waves, President, Twitching, Gloaming, Frozen, Fracturing, Snide Remark. Just, buzzwords and expressions all over. So that's what I see, Kai.
So Zach and I, as previously mentioned, had a great conversation about this album cover the other day because he had like a mega light bulb moment with it. Do you want to start there?
Oh, sure. Well, we were looking at it, and this is, like I was saying, listeners, this is part of the fun of getting to spend time with somebody that is willing to look at the cover of a record with you. If we can't necessarily like go to a gallery and stare at it, but that it's a good exercise to do. And we're just sitting there looking at it, and this is one that I've spent a lot of time looking at, whether I'm trying to reproduce it. I love the album that Walker just described, the artwork on it rather. And I realized, kind of like you said with Kid A, by holding it upside down, that I was like, oh my goodness, it is city streets and like the equivalent of billboards that you would drive through seeping into the ocean. And that black is a pier. This is an interpretation. Could be a pier. The waves are cresting onto a black beach, so there's something wrong. The word oil is very big on the album cover, along with a lot of others, implying that it's like seeped into. So in Santa Barbara, for instance, folks, this is a problem. The beaches are oily. So there's that implication. That was not the light bulb. The light bulb, though, was that I had been interpreting it, quote unquote, wrong. And maybe there is no wrong way.
I don't know about wrong. I would briefly say that we have been looking at this vertically for
Yes,
years.
Always. I thought it as a mountain.
Topographically,
It's Hollywood. But I had always seen it as a volcanic eruption and all of those words are building under the surface tension.
Oh, I like
and
that.
I saw the ocean as the sky. And I see the black streak as the simmering eruption. So the way he's drawn those cresting waves look like a steaming volcano that's just kind of simmering. And I'm not... It would have been amazing if I just realized that, but that's how I always saw it, which I think just goes to show there's no wrong way to write a wrong way to interpret it. But it cracked me up that I've always, when I've drawn it, I've thought of it as a pyramid or as a mountain and started with that shape and not with a shoreline.
How did you see it, Kai?
similarly to Zach, I remember when he was painting it on the coffee table 10 years ago or whatever, the quote sky is the part he had me help him with, and we referred to it as the sky the whole time. So we very clearly saw it vertically. I didn't necessarily see it as volcanic. I always saw it as like a trash heap. Because behind those squares of bright colors with the letters in them, or rectangles, is this really saturate black. And at the top of it, it looks murky and dirty, and the lines seep upward. So I always saw it as just like a steaming pile of trash leaching into the sky. And Zach and I had an interesting moment the other day where we turned it upside down because I was explaining how that black texture doesn't actually travel upwards. The painting was turned upside down. They drip downward, but then it's reoriented so they look like they're traveling upwards. And it's got this cool disorienting, like your mind recognizes that the gravity is off in that piece.
Yeah.
But then when you make it topographical and it's a map, of course, leaching out into water is great. It makes so much sense as a city map.
Yes.
So this is where Zach is a genius, because as I was doing my research, much like the previous albums we talked about, Donwood joined them to paint alongside them while they were recording Hail to the Thief.
Oh, okay.
Only this time they were at a studio in Hollywood, and they weren't that into Hollywood. So it says, well, this comes back to Donwood initially planned to create artwork based on photographs of phallic topiaries, but York vetoed that, which is great and like such a different character or like concept. Also, phallic topiary on the cover of Hail to the Thief feels heavy-handed for the band.
On an album that's already, depending on who you ask, a little lighter on subtlety than other Radiohead albums.
So it says, instead of doing that, the cover art is a roadmap of Hollywood with words and phrases taken from roadside advertising in Los Angeles, such as God, TV, and oil. Donwood noted that advertising was designed to be attractive, but that there was something unsettling about being sold something. So he took advertising slogans and colors from these billboards that are supposed to be bright, cheery, attractive, and combined them in such a way that we see that grotesqueness more.
Yeah, I love it. It really comes across. I mean, it's like, that's what I was trying to get at with the colors too. It feels like such a bombardment.
He says the colors specifically are derived from the petrochemical industry advertisements, which to me adds to this oil element.
And look at whether it's the sky or the ocean, the metaphor works either way. Because like, look at the only part of this that is like pleasant looking, and it is
organic looking,
right? And it's this blue and white, what's the word I'm searching for? That you can see
acrylic.
That you can kind of see the motion of it, either clouds moving or waves moving, and that's the only part that's like kind of like pretty at all, and it's being drowned out by all this dripping blackness coming from these ugly words.
So the like mic drop quote from Donwood is, "We've created this incredibly vibrant society, but we're going to have to deal with the consequences sooner or later."
Right. Goes with the climate catastrophe that York is not poking fun at, but pointing to the stupidity of in a song like Idiotech, like Let Me Hear Both Sides, even though there's an ice age coming.
Mobile chirping. Yeah,
we have that 1/3, 2/3 rule again. About 1/3 is that beautiful ocean or skyline, depending on how you look at it. Just like in Amnesiac, we have 1/3 black, not imprecise, but roughly. And like you were saying, Walker, it is the only part that's pleasant to look at. There is that implied motion. I think that's why I saw them as clouds initially. That's probably why. And like the creators were saying, like, I love how the Brits say petrol instead of oil, but like if you look at one individual square and you take away the meaning of the word, one individual square, I think most of them are pleasant to look at. Like the one that says the word pour, red and white look great together. If you look at the top right-hand corner, the male and turn in particular, are really pleasant on their own. They remind me of Chevron. But any of them put together, it's an artist who understands color so proficiently is intentionally making it bad. Just like Radiohead, like in 2 + 2 = 5. An F minor to an F minor 6 doesn't really sound good until you have mastery over it and you can write a melody over it and blah, 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 blah. I don't mean to go too far there, but I feel like the carpets match the drapes very well on this album. It is a little heavy-handed, but it's taking something that, were you not proficient, could sound ugly or misguided, and making it coherent and cool.
It really is a mastery of color because he doesn't use a lot of secondary or tertiary colors. It's very much primary colors. They're used in marketing because they have a very direct impact on our psychology. Like the cliche one that most people know is that fast food chains use red because that color makes us hungry, makes us want to eat more and longer. But when you combine all those bright primary colors, it is a total conflict of how you're supposed to feel, and it's deeply chaotic.
I mean, I think you guys are making such good points about the juxtaposition of like colors here, even the words themselves. Like some of these words immediately invoke unpleasant things on their own, but most of them are fairly inert on their own. It's what they're up against. Like just to read one of the, so there's 5 columns of words, and I've always found this disconcerting too. everything is all jammed together in the far right-hand
That's
side
like
of the album
freeways,
cover.
I think, converging maybe.
Yeah.
Interstates.
It just like, it gets like tighter and tighter and tighter as it goes. It's really claustrophobic. But just to read some of these, I was reading ones just randomly as they jumped, but just to go down a column, you can kind of hear how these words, they're kind of nothing on their own, but all together it's icky. So vacant, home, test, screen, autos, nothing, delicious, oil, pool, away, 100%, exit, 99 cents, B.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a trick. It's just like the word exit. It's not particularly frightening, but when it's sandwiched between 100% and 99 cents, pool and oil, you're kind of like, ah.
Yes. I don't think
I live in hell.
I don't think all the words adjacent to each other have a specific meaning, but some of them clearly do. Like I love vacant and home
Me too.
next to
Love
each
that
other
one.
because home is in bright white with blue letters. That's a relatively calming color palette.
Very much so.
And because it's white, it's pulled to the forefront. Your eye sees home first, and very dark above it is a dark green rectangle with the word vacant in black. It's almost in the background until you take the time to notice they're together. And suddenly the word home is not comforting or safe like it looks. Vacant home
Right.
has a completely different meaning. So
Can I just say real quick my two favorite parts on what you just said, Kai? I think that the placement, if it is a beach, a vacant home, I think that you think about when this album was conceived and created and the artwork potentially is at the height of the real estate boom. A lot of folks were kind of, I just think that might be a little bit of a commentary on the injustice of cost in a place like Hollywood. Maybe there's a low amount of vacant homes. I'm not sure that were available. The two that I love the most, and I want to be careful with this because just, you know, somebody isn't a genius if 100 years ago they said there will be war and discord in the world 100 years from now. However, I think Radiohead in 2003, and Stanley Donwood for sure, putting the words TV and armed as the two biggest squares feel very, very, very present today. And this is not, you know, it's just interesting. You know, we live in a time where gun violence is so much higher than it should be, right? And it's very upsetting. And I don't think that television and movies are doing it. I'm not in favor of censoring. I don't think it is doing anything to diminish that. And I do think there are some movies and documentaries that talk about it in a very thoughtful manner, right? I'm not here to just throw stones, but I do just want to praise the artwork and forethought, even though it's rather glooming to put TV and armed as the two biggest things that I think the artist is saying, this is coming at me, right? So it shouldn't be a surprise that 20 years from now, that feels even more present. And that's kind of what has always stood out to me.
and those words are relative in size to fear, oil, and God. Very interesting.
Very, very
But
cool.
then there's also parts like 24-hour being next to video
Love that.
I love, but also reminds me that this isn't like contemporary to now. There are certain things that position it in its own time period.
Maybe
even though I
VCR,
think
but
that a lot of
video-
things are very universal.
Yeah.
Here's a fun pair that are next to each other. You know, good coincidence or intentional, who knows? But enforced is right next to luxuries. And that's a great concept too. The idea of like, you know, these manufactured needs of capitalism. I've never heard the phrase enforced luxuries, but think about the fact that like we all carry these fucking phones around that are turning us into complete morons. And that you're like, you are like, if you choose not to have one, you're like, I'm basically choosing not to participate in contemporary social society.
Or
That's an enforced luxury, baby. I'm going to say enforced luxury a lot from now on out. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot too. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think of the diamond industry. Nobody wants to participate in the enslavement and violence that is associated with major, the big ones.
Speak for yourself. Some people want to participate in it.
But but like it is still the symbol that I think all relationships follow, right? I don't know. every single-
Deeply
but, like,
conditioned to think diamonds aren't necessity.
it's
like,
an enforced
yeah.
luxury, and I think that it's just. I mean, listeners, you could think of any two pairs on your own. I love the one Walker said, and that's the one that I had always thought of.
This is an idea that I've always had for a joke that I've never been able to quite make work, and you'll know why as soon as I say. But the idea of now there's a market for conflict-free stones.
Yeah.
So people get diamonds that
grow
are
them in a lab.
ethically sourced, which is great. And I'm not here to shit on that.
Are they though?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? There's usually a dark side to.
Huge carbon footprint.
Sure, there's always.
Kidding.
Oh,
I don't know.
Do you like how readily? Yes, we all know that guy. I agree with this fact you just made up.
But
Yeah. That's
oh my
Thanks,
god,
babe.
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, Zach.
Sorry, Zach.
But I had an idea for not conflict-free stones, but minor conflict stones that are slightly less expensive than like a blood diamond. And it's just like this. We're not gonna lie to you. Some people died, but the good thing is some of those people were kind of like the guy who died mining this was like a really shitty father. It's from a part of the world that you can't pronounce the name of, let alone care about. So we're gonna knock $1,000 off this one. So feel a little better about yourself. Minor conflict stones, listeners. If any of you have patent connections, and own a diamond mine, you can feel free to get that going.
One more thing I wanted to say about just word association on the cover is I like that there are words like luxury and karaoke next to each other and God, lube, donut, because I think there's also commentary in there about, especially in urban settings, how everything exists within a small proximity. You can have the holy, the wealthy, the absolute dredges of society all on one block, and there's something interesting about that representation of American culture here.
Oh, totally. I mean, or as the internet is starting to emerge as a more ubiquitous factor in our life at the time they're making, and think about that, it's like people get their news from the same place they get their pornography.
Yeah.
It really is a hyper distilled version of that.
I'm surprised church and porn aren't next to each other somewhere on here.
Is porn on here somewhere? It definitely.
I added it to the
be.
one I drew.
Oh, okay.
Because popcorn looks like the word porn on the front. I do want to say, too, I think that this is Radiohead's only album and album artwork for certain that evokes a little bit of sexual imagery, and not at all explicitly, but in the way that it is sort of ironically poking fun at the billboards and the messaging and the buzzwords. And the donut, lube, all that, there's a very maybe immature, but kind of imagery and pairing that goes with that. And I just think that it's not, it does it kind of in the same way that Dr. Strangelove does, where the missile looks like a penis, or 2001 does, where the docking station, it's not trying to say too much other than just poking fun or pointing out that I think human beings, we kind of work in fractals too, right? We want, and certainly in advertising, we want everything to come back to that. And I think Stanley Donwood and Radiohead are commentating on that, especially in a place like Hollywood, California. One of the top words at the very top is girls. What is that? Probably a strip club. Who knows? But it's just interesting. And I don't think they go to that territory again. And you know what? Walker, you were saying this one is heavy-handed. I agree.
They stay in a more abstract place from here on out.
I think this one really nails it. For me, I love it.
I also think this cover's interesting because I think, and I don't know for sure, that it's possibly completely painted without digital alteration.
It looks like it.
Which is, rare for them.
Out of these ones we discussed, Kai, and including the albums we haven't discussed, it can be from a technical standpoint. It can be just how it hits you, overall feeling, personal attachment, really any metric you want to use. Do you have a favorite Radiohead album cover?
I was thinking about that. I feel like I'm most attached to Hail to the Thief because I've spent time and had so many conversations with Zach about it. I think it's really visually interesting. I like vibrant colors, high contrast. So it speaks to my aesthetic. But if I were to hang a Radiohead album like on the wall in our home for art, it's probably in rainbows. Like that's an aesthetic that I like and is calming enough to me and interesting enough to me that I would want it on the wall of my house.
It's a pleasing one, isn't it?
It is, but it's also to me like probably one of the most commercial. So that's why it makes good like wall art. It's not something that is jarring or distracting to be in your space. But of these three, I don't know. Today I'm really into Kid A just because I love that it's all like really visceral paintings digitized to kind of create the contrast between nature and just like a synthetic representation of that.
Yeah, great answer. I love it.
I did want to ask you guys because while I was doing some research, something about Radiohead's TikTok came up. Have you guys heard anything about their TikTok?
No, enlighten us.
You're not on TikTok, right, Walker?
I'm not.
I am not either.
But I qualified that with my tone because it's like Instagram is fast turning into TikTok. So
right.
I feel like I can only be on such a high horse about it. But no, I'm not. Now Radiohead's on TikTok?
Well, and I feel like one of the most elder millennial things we can do is talk about an app that we're not on a podcast.
Sure.
But
I could do that for hours.
So Radiohead launched like their TikTok on April Fool's Day last year.
Okay.
It was either 2020 or 2021. And it's a series, the thing I read said it was a series of 30 videos featuring their character Chieftain Muse. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's from like these digital web shorts they did for a while, but they're all very ominous. They remind me of like almost like V for Vendetta status. Like there's a man at a desk saying ominous things that almost feel like a news anchor. Ultimately, it bombed.
Okay.
It was really interesting. Tom York came out with some harsh criticisms of their TikTok later, and I guess did like all of their TikTok is this one character behind a desk giving ominous messages.
And this is not animated. This is an actor doing these things.
It's an actor, but there's either a mask or digital.
I want to watch
rendering
these.
of his face. They're trippy. They're weird. I only watched a few because, like I said, I don't have an account, so I watched as much as I could without creating one. But I guess after a while, it was such a like flop compared to the numbers Radiohead expected that Tom did this faux interview with their main character where he was criticizing his performance and letting him know that he was disappointing and that he needed to be more like the dancing dogs on TikTok to get their numbers up.
Oh, wow.
So I haven't looked into
this.
it a lot, but like I just wanted to throw it out there. And I think
haven't seen this. Well, this is an example of like a trend that I don't think Radiohead needs to chase because
no, but I love that they're doing their own thing for sure. And the fact that it's not working reinforces to me that TikTok is cultural garbage.
Yeah, TikTok is, I think, I won't say more than anything, but as much as any one thing is the death of art as we know it, as far as I'm concerned. Every TikTok I have seen, I have regretted. And I do not care.
It's the sentence of the year.
I can't quite say that. Like, I'm sure there's some valuable stuff on there, but the way the app is run is like terrifying.
I mean, I think Walker's being hyperbolic, but I do agree. I feel like it is diminishing. Having used some social media apps, it is the easiest, I think, to escape being creative and appear that way.
Yes, there are people on it who are clearly
funny and
genuinely talented, funny, interesting, have something to say.
Hot.
Yeah, sure. Above all. But I just think every time I see something that is cool on TikTok, it looks to me like something that I can't speak for the creators, but it looks to me like somebody who would get so much more traction in a different, more long form medium in any other era, but this is what creatives have been reduced to. I mean, stand up. Like, I'll shut up after this. It's like, on the one hand, I post clips of my stand up on my Instagram. If something gets engagement, do I feel good? Sure. I'm also very annoyed that this thing that exists as a live performance art, to garner any interest in it whatsoever, you have to put it on a 1-inch screen and take what was an organic moment and make people engage with it in this very secondary kind of medium. And I just think that I feel when I am out doing that many audiences have forgotten that what they are watching is not happening on their phone.
Right.
And they interact with you that way. Or people show up to comedy shows now having watched all these viral crowd work clips, and they're like, this is what going out and seeing stand-up is. It's going and interacting with the comic so they can post it, and I can be a part of the show when this gets hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok. And the whole thing just, to me, like, really, really dilutes anything that's special about the art forms that are being represented by these TikToks, whether it's people's music or comedy or video work. Like, you know, they're really talented visual artists who are on TikTok, but it's just like, man, I wish that there was an audience for people to check out your stuff without having to scroll by it on TikTok. I'm sure I'm old and wrong, but that's how I feel about it.
I think I agree with a lot of your cynicism. It depends on I'm sure the hour of the day that we would ask you about it, right? Because I know that you do stand up and you're really passionate about it. So it hasn't diluted it totally. I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but I would really like to, for my part, close with a question to our guest, kind of in that arena. So Kai Walker gave a lovely introduction. It's kind of funny that we were plugging because I don't know where your follower count is, and I don't know how much that legitimizes, but it is. Are you comfortable saying?
Sure.
30,000 some.
I think we're a little north of 31 right now.
So that's a lot of people, right? That's a lot of people, and who knows what percentage of that people engage with it. How, as an artist who is so kinesthetic, works with your hands, gets dirty. You know, I go to hug Kai sometimes while she's working. She said, "You can't hug me. I'm covered in glass dust." You know, but really, really puts your all into it, including your body. How do you feel? How do you reconcile those two of marketing it through the current filtration system that Walker was just talking about? Does it ever get you down mentally, or do you have them compartmentalized?
Oh, no, it's a roller coaster. It's an absolute roller coaster. So our business, is primarily Instagram based. It was started in 2020. I feel like that was a great time for creators to be on Instagram because all of our eyes were on the internet. We had nothing else to do. Everyone just wanted to support each other through hard times. So like we got very lucky that we launched at the right time. Now, since Reels have taken over, there's so much pressure to make tutorial Reels and process Reels and basically show people how I work. I've gone through phases of trying to like participate in that more. It's not really sustainable for me, honestly, to create with a camera on all the time. Because what I think people don't see is these artists are taking a ton of time to set up beautiful shots and they're trying to do their art, say it's a paint stroke or me doing a line of solder on stained glass, trying to do it like perfect for the camera. Right. I don't work perfect. I work hella messy. So, but if I put out videos of that, then I'm opening myself up to all these like questions of like, well, is she actually making it right? Is she making it quality because she's not doing it perfectly like all these other people? We've ultimately shut down on Reels. Like we tried to do some Reels earlier this year, and I was doing a ton of tutorial content in our stories, and I just lost the energy for it. And I felt like it's a ton of wasted time that creators don't get paid back for at all. It's free education for people, which is cool if you have that time to give. I don't. My business is new enough that we like really have to focus on actually making art to sell.
Which the business name one more time?
Flux and Flow Glass.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I think ultimately creators need to focus on making content that is sustainable for them, and the most sustainable content is stuff you're actually passionate about. So if you have to follow these Instagram trends, like who's actually passionate about that? Most of the people I see, or creators like myself that I see, making reels end up just making reels that are jokes about how had to make content today. Here's a video of me doing one tiny lame thing. And that's not to knock people who are trying and making those videos. Just for me, it's not a sustainable way for me to engage on the internet. It doesn't make me feel authentic. And I think that we all need to think about, or those of us that have some kind of platform need to think about creating the internet that you want to be on and not just following the trends that make you feel gross.
Sure. And I would...
That was a mic drop moment right there. Create the internet you want to be on.
I mean...
Yeah, we're calling it Skynet.
I'll admit.
No, but I would just like to say, too, even though I kind of went round robin between the two of you, and I really liked what both of you had to say, Kilani and I are married, right? But she has been building the Idiotalk Instagram page, and it has been really, really interesting because I'm sure we all have some resentment of the social media platforms and what they've done to us and to society. It is really funny, though. There is a symmetry to it. And I don't want to sit here and talk about our Instagram page. Even on your page, though, there is an organization. And I do think, just to give some validity, if there are any social media managers, that's what they do for a full-time career. I understand that there is a lot of science and arrangement and symmetry that one can achieve. And so that I'm not trying to diminish it, right? But it has been fun because the reason why I mentioned that you have a lot of followers is Kai is somebody that is still very pleasant to interact with. And I don't think that has to be, and I mean by that, you can
She's
engage.
not constantly like making you do viral TikTok dances.
No, and that's what amazes me. And by the way, also too, their business is still very successful. 31,000 followers does not equal some like gold star.
I always say followers are not dollars.
Yes,
I wish they were.
Yeah, exactly. So it did just want to bring that up. I don't mean to speak on your behalf at all. If anything, I was just trying to praise the fact that you don't seem to have lost your sense of self whatsoever, even though you've kind of cracked the code there. But yeah, fuck all those things.
Look at these two listeners, so in love, and we love to see it. Now, I have, if I may ask a closing question of our guest. This is not the question. This is a lead into the question. How long have you been married to my brother?
5 years.
And how long have you been together?
11.
11 years. Okay. So you've done your time in the trenches with Zach Glenn and with the Glens in general. It's been a long journey, a beautiful journey, a journey of laughs and joy, but every journey has its twists and turns, its ups and downs. Has it all been worth it to be on this episode of Video Talk?
Remember what we talked about?
I mean,
Zach's coaching her from the sidelines
really
right
boosts
now.
my follower count. If it doesn't, I don't know. But I mean, it's been great. Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
We've been very happy to have you because, you know, when I know that when you met Zach, that Radiohead was a part of his life. I was a part of his life, right? I'm sure at some point he must have sat you down and said, look, if we're going to do this thing, you need to know I have this brother. He's around a lot. He can be a lot, but, you know, it's part of the deal. Also, I'm really into Radiohead. I'm going to talk about them a lot. Sometimes when you're in the mood to talk about it with me, sometimes not.
Sometimes at 1 a.m, I'm going to need you to pay full attention to this video and give me a detailed response.
But you didn't know, and he didn't know then, that those two things, those interests in his life were going to one day come together, and that you would not just be married to my brother Zach, but you would be married to a Radiohead podcast.
Absolutely.
And you've handled it with, I gotta say, exemplary grace.
Thank you. Well, I'll say one of the coolest things about the podcast is that we have a reason to see you more often. We see Walker like 1 or 2 times a month now.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I don't think we had that routine down prior.
No, we sure didn't. I feel like we're all very involved in each other's lives to a degree that we haven't been for a few years.
And like I started my business 2 years ago, and Zach has like gotten to be behind the scenes on that and watch me do that. So it's cool to now watch him have something that he gets to share with people, because Zach's not on social media. He makes music and has all these interests at home, and I'm his sounding board. And like, I think most spouses are not always as enthusiastic as maybe I'm not as stoked on his Led Zeppelin riff as I'm supposed to be the exact moment he's sharing it. But it's been really great to see him have a little bit of an audience and like people engage and appreciate him.
Absolutely. Yeah. This whole thing has been I mean, look, I'm always engaging in attention-seeking behavior. Everything I do. Zach was talking to me about, if you don't mind me saying, Zach, about being so excited about that people were finding and listening to the podcast. And I think I got the impression you were kind of like feeling me out for like, you're excited about this too, right? And I was like, I am. It's just that I am constantly seeking attention with everything I do. So this is now just one of the food pyramid of things that I do that say, look at me, world, listen to me. And you're experiencing, I think, in a more new sense of just like, oh, people are listening to what I'm saying. What's my point here? My point is that I'm a very sick man. Zach, go ahead.
Well, I would say, even though I have a fair amount of followers, as Zach said, our Instagram features almost no images of myself and my partner. It's all art. So if any of my followers actually like come over and listen to the podcast, they're gonna like get much more exposure to me as a human being than they ever have in the entire length.
They're like, wait, you don't just live in the garage?
My account, or you're not just hands holding a piece of glass.
Right.
Oh, well, I hope
you
they
have
do.
opinions. What? Yeah.
And hello, stained glass fans who came over to this podcast from Kai, and goodbye, because I assume that you have found the other two people on this podcast not to your taste. But I hope you enjoyed Kai. Any closing thoughts from our guest or from my co-host here?
I would love to make more custom Radiohead glass art, if not for you guys, listeners.
Yeah, hit up Kai.
I mean, that's not a hard sales pitch or anything. I just would love the opportunity to make more cool custom stuff related to music in general.
Yeah.
Totally. And Kai does do amazing custom pieces, one of which I have in my house based off of a piece of art that I made that she turned into beautiful stained glass.
Still one of my favorite pieces I ever got to work on.
I was worried I didn't say that's my favorite piece that you've ever done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites, and my followers did not like it.
Well, we will post it on the Instagram for this episode.
Here's Kai.
Since we're referring to it, we'll post that piece that you made for me.
Wonderful.
It was really wonderful to have you on the
Such a
podcast,
pleasure.
Kai.
Thanks,
And
guys.
listeners, that's Kailani to you. We get to call her Kai. We have
Yes.
Kai privileges.
Thanks, Kai.
Thanks so much again for listening, listeners. We will see you next week on a Friday. I have been Walker Glenn.
I'm Zach Glenn.
And I'm Kilani Glenn.
Bye. Idiotalk is a Glenn Brothers production. Get in touch with us at idiotalk.podcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at idiotalk.podcast. And thanks for listening to